Hey guys, it's Aaron with Seven Brothers Brewery here. So we're going to go through how to clean a tank. We've brewed thousands of batches of beer so far, and we have never had an infection. So we think that we're doing something right, but needless to say, we want to teach you how we want our tanks cleaned if you're going to work for us. So the first thing we're going to do, if the tank has just been used, is open the tank up, okay? So we've already opened the door here, but all it would do is you'd unscrew this, whoop, push this in, and then from there, let the CO2 come out, because you never want to stick your head or your body into a CO2 environment, because you could die. We don't want you to die, but after you let it air out for a minute or two, you can kind of stand back still, and then turn on your flashlight, and you can actually take a visual look inside the tank, and you're going to look for, oh hey, you know, this is really, really dirty. So what we're going to do in that situation is we're going to do a full cleaning cycle at that time. So if you actually come in with the camera here, you can actually look, and we can see, we did a visual inspection here, and you can see, hey, that's a lot of yeast at the top. That's a lot of dirty, dirty stuff, okay? So first thing after we've identified that the tank is dirty is we're going to do a hot water flush. We're not going to do that very long, but we're going to do it long enough where our water is going to run clear from our bottom port, okay? So from our bottom port here, we're going to be running, we're going to wait till it runs clear. We're going to be going through, for hot water, through our CIP arm, or our clean in place arm, which is this one right here. You will have to know each tank. There are two arms on almost all of our tanks, a clean in place arm, and then on this one, it's a blow off arm. So there's one of those on each side, okay? So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the hot water connected, and we're actually gonna do a flush. So one other thing that is really, really important before you start cleaning your tank is to turn off your glycol jacket. Your glycol jacket is what's cooling this tank. To do that, you hit the set button on this box right here, set, and you hit set again, and you make sure it's set at 205 degrees, okay? That way it won't kick on with really, really hot water. It'll just stay fine, and it won't kick on with that. So we're gonna hit set, we're gonna let it be. But you have to hit set twice. So once you hit it, go to your temp, up or down, 205, hit set again, and we're, all right, so to hook up your water, right, we're gonna go through our clean in place arm. Our clean in place arm, we're going to have a gasket. When we touch a gasket, we always touch on the outside of the gasket. Even if we're just doing a cleaning cycle, I don't want people reaching all up in there. I want you to treat it like the middle is very, very clean and special, and we don't want to ever touch the middle. We always touch on the outside. So from there, we're gonna set it till it's flat and flush. Then from there, we're going to put the gasket, or sorry, the tri-clamp on. After the tri-clamp is on, we're gonna run a cleaning cycle up here, okay? Or sorry, we're gonna run a hot water flush, okay? So I'm gonna open the valve here. I'm gonna close this door a little bit because I don't wanna get covered in hot water. I'm not gonna cover it all the way because we want the tank to breathe per se, so it doesn't create too much pressure. So we're gonna kind of have it so it's loosey-goosey, it still can breathe, there's still air that can go in between here, okay? And then from there, we're gonna go turn on the hot water. With that, I usually encourage people, because the water's gonna come out shooting out, we're gonna actually put an elbow here or a hose. So I'll get that set up right now, okay? All right, so we're gonna open the bottom valve here. Ooh. And once the bottom valve is open, we have our door open up top right here a little bit for a breather, and then we're gonna run a hot water rinse on it. And I know there's a lot of hoses in our snake bed down here, but we are running really, really hot water through here, and we will let that run for a little bit. So while we're doing a hot water rinse, we also want to rinse out this part right here. This is a spunding valve. It's right here. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to lift up right here, and we're going to let hot water kind of run through here. Okay? That's going to allow hot water to fill this area and loosen up any proteins that are in there. Okay? So we've been running this for a little bit now, and we're gonna look at our water right here. As you can see, water's running pretty clear. At this point, we're going to stop running the water. We're gonna close right here, and we're going to let our water fill up on this tank. We're gonna let it fill up till we have water coming out right here, okay? So we're gonna just let that run, and once we see water coming out right here, then we're gonna close it to do a chemical wash. All right, we see how water is starting to dump out through this port. So as a result, we're gonna close it. All right, and we're gonna stop the hot water. And then at that point, we're gonna take this big old slug of chemical here, and we're gonna dump it into our port up here. We're opening the door here. Being a little difficult. We're gonna be putting in this chemical right here that's called Brew Clean. Okay, it's a caustic cleaner. And we're gonna put that bad boy into here. With that being done, I've closed this so I'm not spraying myself with chemical. My bottom valve is closed, and we are going to now get set up to run the pump. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is get this pump set up. So I already dumped in my chemical. I closed my door. I have my blow-off arm right here open because I need to let this bad boy breathe. And then from there, I hook up my inlet. So this is my inlet. This goes in the front of the pump, and that goes to your bottom port right here. And then my outlet here goes up, and it goes to my CIP arm, my clean in place arm right there. We're gonna open that valve. So now we have an open valve here. We have an open valve here. Then from there, we're gonna prime the pump. So we're gonna prime the pump next. So to do that, we're gonna open this valve a little bit, let a little water run out. Okay, it's starting to turn into chemical, it's starting to turn into caustic. So from there, we're gonna plug this pump in and we're gonna start it. Okay, so it's on stop right now. We're gonna go to on. So most of the time, the pump may be at 0, but we're gonna slowly turn it up to 100, okay? And you're actually gonna hear the pump kind of chugging and starting, but sometimes it doesn't wanna go right away, and if it doesn't, then you gotta bleed it off one more time to really get rid of that, and now it's going full bore. So once we get the pump up to 100% speed, and it's running successfully, we're gonna let it run for about 10 minutes, okay? After 10 minutes, we're gonna take a visual inspection of the inside of the tank by opening this door and looking inside with our flashlight. So we've ran our cleaning cycle for approximately 10 minutes, okay? At that point, we open our tank. And we do a visual inspection. Okay, looks like it could run just a little bit longer, but we're gonna let it run a little bit longer. But while it's running, we're gonna start actually taking off our ports here, and we're gonna start getting ready to scrub our ports. I, ahead of time, got a bucket of caustic put together. So this is that powder and a little water I put together, and I'm gonna set that to the side. And while this tank's running, I'm going to take off these ports, and I'm going to start scrubbing all of my ports with a brush, okay? I'm going to take it, I'm going to throw it right in the caustic. With your temperature gauges, you don't want to dunk these in caustic, so we'll maybe set these kind of upright in a corner of the 5-gallon bucket. But you can see all the dirty stuff that's kind of hanging out in that corner. So if you look, it's not submerged at all. It's still up out of the caustic. We're gonna get this bad boy. All right, so we think we've got all of our ports, but sometimes on certain tanks, there's ports in the back and on the sides. We're gonna actually take a visual inspection. We're gonna actually walk around the tank or look around the tank. We're gonna look for any other ports. that are there. Usually it's a temperature port or some kind of sensor port that could be removed. And that could be a catch for yeast and other kind of bad stuff. So you want to make sure that we inspect that, okay? So we're going to actually do a visual inspection. We got a port here, but this port is inside the tank. It actually, it's open to the air as we can see, so as a result, we don't worry about that. We look around the other side, don't see anything. But for giggles, we're gonna look over here, don't see anything. So we're good, and don't forget, we filled this with hot water, but we never filled it with caustic, so we're gonna have to do a little. So now this whole thing's full of caustic, and it will soak there and get a little cleaner. All right, so we got our brush, okay? You have to have a brush that actually fits the ports. Some ports are not all this nice 1.5 inch size. Some are real tiny, and a brush like this will not fit. So what we do is we take our brush, stick in a little caustic, we actually get in there, just give it a good old scrub. You do a visual inspection. If it's real dark, as it would be expected, you shine with a flashlight and look inside. This one, as you can see, right? You can see visual yeast in there. You can see it's dirty. So with that, I'm gonna go in here. All right, now we're gonna do a visual inspection. Looks pretty great. I don't see any yeast or any dirtiness kind of hanging out in there. Okay. Then we got one more on this tank right here. Okay. Okay, so you can see I have the pump on and it's kind of struggling. You know, the reason it is when sometimes you'll be like, why is this not working? Start at your first point. Well, this valve is closed. Let's open that valve. Now it's working. Well, if it's still not working, then we want to release the pressure here, and we're gonna let the air out of the whatever's in the line. Then after that, if it's still not working, we check our next valve here, and then from there, we check our next valve here, okay? All right, so we've scrubbed all of our ports. We've filled this up with caustic. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna close our valve here, so we don't get sprayed with any chemical. And we are going to take off our chemical attachment here. And we're gonna move it over to this side right here. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna run about 5-10 minutes through this side as well. This valve is open. This valve is open. And now we're gonna start the pump. 100% speed, start. All right, so after we've taken our chemical off, we're gonna take this piece off and we are going to clean in between here. I can't do it in this video because of the sake of time, but then after that, we're going to run our ozone cycle. So instead of running through a pump, we're gonna run through our ozone machine right here. And we're gonna hook up water to our inlet here, and then our outlet, in this situation, it's already attached to another tank, but it would attach to here as well. Then from there, we're gonna run a 2-minute ozone cycle where we will drain on the ground, and then we'll run a 2-minute ozone cycle on this side where we'll drain through the ground. And then after that, we're gonna close our valve and we're gonna go through here for at least 2 minutes as well. And then we're going to scrub our ports just like we did with caustic, but instead of caustic, we're going to use a special chemical called asasan, which basically takes one pump for 5 gallons of water. And then from there, we're going to mix it up, and just like we did before, scrub all of our ports. Give every single one a scrub. And then from there, we're gonna take our pieces, and our pieces, we're gonna scrub with asasan as well. Make sure you get in between where the gaskets are as well, that doesn't give you permission to be lazy just because there's a gasket there. And like I said, we're never touching the inside of the gasket. We will clean in between the gasket, but we're not going to touch in between the gasket. And then from there, we'll put those pieces on, where we will clamp them on. And then we will keep our ozone cycle running to make sure that these spots get really, really clean.